Chris, you are a very big supporter and proponent of music education, and I've heard you say it in almost all your shows. You take a moment to talk about how important music education is. And on a personal level, about 4 years ago, I think it was, you gave my youngest son, Zach, who was 8 at the time, a trumpet lesson, which was really kind of you, and it had a huge impact on him. I mean, he still talks about it now, and he's still playing, and he's a Chris Botti fan, and you know, you're just very generous with your time and your energy to being supportive of music education. But could you talk about a little bit about music education and your passion for inspiring young people and young musicians?
Well, I'm not necessarily in favor. I'm not one of these people that's talking about the blanket music education as far as being like a school system. Mm-hmm. That's not the music education I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the music education I'm talking about is how do you get a kid to be inspired to play one of these, or piano, or a cello, or bass, or something that's a real instrument. How do you, in this day and age, how do you get the kids away from the things that aren't real instruments? Guitar Hero, newsflash, not a real instrument. Not a real instrument. The internet, not a real instrument, right?
Yeah.
So what I try to do in whatever little way is to try to inspire a kid to go out, in a way, use the education system, your band director, your marching band, or whatever you're working with, but think beyond that, to try to go see a show of yours, or see a show of mine, or go see someone. And then, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, man, I would like write Chuck Mangione a letter to see if I could meet him, or write Tom Harrell a letter. I mean, I had the chutzpah, which basically means the audacity, to write Tom Harrell a letter when I was in college and said, Tom, I'm showing up in New York, can I stay with you? Like, what an idiot, you know? Like, and he still got together and we played Jamie Aebersold records, and he was the nicest sweetheart of a guy. But you know, you got to be crazy to be a musician. You got to, and I mean, you got to be into it. So I want a kid like that wants to practice a lot on their instrument, and they also want to like meet and find out what makes other great musicians tick. And we had a show a couple of years ago in outside of Boston, and these two kids basically bogarted their way. They just conned their way backstage and sound check. And I saw him do it. And I said, whoa, you guys you went by the guard there and all that. I said, that's awesome. I gave him 2 tickets. I had the whole audience. I had them stand up in the audience, and I said, this is what we need more of. Like kids that think that this, you know, like they can get to see their favorite band, they can go backstage, they can talk to the guy. You'd be surprised. Most people want to interact with a young person that's enthusiastic about music.
Yeah,
I thought it was a fantastic thing those kids did. It showed initiative, and I'm into it. Because nowadays, most young people, they close the door, they say goodbye to mom and dad, they turn on the YouTube, they get the GarageBand out, and they're isolated, and they're put off from what makes music, and that's playing with other instrumentalists or chatting about it. And even the word hanging out, you know, is so massive in jazz. You know, if you think you're going to learn how to play jazz from picking up a book or from having one lesson with some hotshot teacher, it's hanging out with other musicians. You know, this is as much as the game as anything of life. You learn. And so how do you get a kid to, like, you know, get off the internet and play an instrument, you know? And that's what I saw in your son. You know, he picked up his trumpet, and his embouchure looked exactly like yours, you know? And I know that because I've stood next to you for years and years and years. And it, you know, evidence that they don't fall far from the tree. But I want parents to try to instigate that in kids and take them out to see shows, take them to see yours or Long Long or Josh Bell or whomever. It's important.
Yeah, well, it's great that you do that, and I think I couldn't agree more with you on every single one of those points. Chris, a few days ago I went to your website, and you are clearly the hardest working man in show business. I mean, the itinerary is unbelievable, and just from a logistical standpoint, from a mental standpoint, physical standpoint, I don't know how you do it. Every night you go out and just put out 110% and put on these amazing shows, and it's night after night. I mean, it is incredible. And for those of you who haven't gone to Chris's website, you got to check it out, and you can be it'll hip you to everywhere he's at, and also tell you about new releases and new videos and everything that he's got going on. So make sure you go check out chrisbotti.com. But with that in mind, maybe you could share with us what's coming up for you in the coming year, and maybe do you have any long-range goals and plans that I know you do, I'm sure, but things that you still want to achieve, even though it seems like you've achieved it all?
I look at these other artists that do other things than one. They have a perfume line or they have a clothing line, and and then I look at Bob Dylan, who has. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Bob Dylan's music, but what I love about him is that he's got all the things that you need in life: success and notoriety and all that crazy. He's got money, he's got kids and all that stuff, and yet he goes from city to city to city and plays music. That's what he does. Gets off his tour bus, walks out there, plays for an audience, goes to the next town. Doesn't have a perfume line. I doubt it would be any good anyhow. But my point is that I think that there's something noble about having that be your life, and I've sacrificed a lot. I don't have a family, and I don't necessarily, time might have run out for that, and so I'm solely focused on doing a show every night, and so wherever we are, my brain's going and it gets down to just the minutia of what am I going to say, where should I stand, how should we do, is this solo too long, or what's the introduction to this? I'm going through all the way until even in the middle of the show I'm thinking about that. Was this too heavy in the bass here, or the arrangement here, and this and then we hit the stage, and the next day we go to the next city, and so but I feel super lucky to be doing it. So next year we're going to tour. Well, right now we're booking pretty much all the way through next year is going to be field touring, and then after that I'm going to have both hips replaced or something. I don't know. Well, I'm going to be tired. I don't know. But I don't right now. I don't have any recording plans for next year. It'll probably be 2014. But we just finished a really fun kind of tour I did with Barbra Streisand as her featured guest, and that was massively fun. And so maybe it wasn't that long. It was only 12 shows. She's only done 90 shows since 1963. Do the math on that. And I was on 12 of them. I feel wow,
great.
Cool. And she was just such a gem to work with. And so maybe we'll get something together again, do something like that.
Very cool. Chris, well, I just want to ask you one more question, and you've given us so much great advice. And it's like I feel like it was 20 years ago, and I would always just be energized when Chris and I would do sessions together. He's that kind of guy, and you've given everybody just tremendous advice and insight today. But just if you had one single piece of advice that you would give to a young person who's sitting out there listening to you and has the lofty dreams of being the next Chris Botti, if it was possible to sum it up, what would that one piece of advice be?
Well, possible to sum up my success is determination is by far and away the thing that outranks talent, or you got to really want it and be determined. But I think that another common thread that most people have that are really successful, and I'll meet a young person, I'll say, what kind of music do you like? And if that kid says, I like all kinds of music, I pretty much write him off. But when the kid says, I like Led Zeppelin or John Coltrane or Wynton Marsalis or whatever it is, if they're passionate about it, then that passion will resonate as they get older and figure out the focus and figure out where they're supposed to fit in the dance of life. That stuff all works, but they've got to have the passion and the absolute dedication to something. And for me, when I was a kid, it was Miles Davis. I was just like Miles Davis, and we used to fight with my friends at college about how great Miles Davis. And they're like, well, no, what about Maurice Andre? I'm like, oh, Maurice Andre's great, but Miles Davis, And so I wish kids, I wish them the best, but I think that they need to look in the mirror and go, do I really want this, or do I kind of say I want it, and then I really want to just be a banker or something. I don't know. That's a personal thing.
Well, that's a great piece of advice. Chris, thank you so much for taking
Mike.
time out today. For those of you who don't have Chris's latest CD, it's called Impressions. Amazing record. Go out and get it. Download it. It's worth every dollar. It's worth twice as much as they charge for it. But check that out. Check out Chris on his next show. He'll be in your area. Obviously, he's going to be touring all of 2013. Chris, mostly thank you for the time today and also the inspiration you've given all of us.
Thanks,
It's
Mike.
been
It was
an amazing
my pleasure.
association.
So good to
and,
see you,
Yeah,
as
great to
always.
see you. So thanks all of you for joining us on Bone2Pick, and we will see you next time. Hey everybody, this is Michael Davis here at HipBoneMusic headquarters in Nanuet, New York. I hope everybody's school year is off to a terrific start. I wanted to talk to you today about my new books, Bone Kill and Trumpet Kill. Very excited to see the response we're getting from the books. People are really enjoying playing the music, which is always the number one thing for a composer or a publisher is you got to have people wanting to play the music. So we're really excited about that. We feel like it's a really great product. This morning I was thinking about one of the things that I'm really happy with is how just the graphics and the design of the cover came out. I have a wonderful graphic designer in Woodstock, New York named Ann DeMarinis. She's done all of the work at HipBoneMusic. And I really felt like she outdid herself on this cover. Just a vibrant red with this really cool bone kill graphic. And really pleased with that, so just wanted to mention that. From a playing standpoint, I wanted to just share my thoughts with you about it. I've been practicing out of it for about the last 3 weeks, pretty much every day. And one of the cool things about the book is it breaks down into kind of two ways. One is it's 15 etudes, so you can kind of practice those on a daily basis. And the other way is it's 5 3-movement suites. For solo trombone or for solo trumpet. So they really were great for recitals or performances. So something to keep in mind. But as I've been playing it, it's really been helping my facility and my flexibility in ways that I hadn't really thought of when I wrote the pieces. So that's kind of a cool thing. I've been also playing it down an octave on bass trombone, which everybody knows my bass trombone play needs some help, so maybe this is the answer. It can give me some help, but it's really been working well. It's particularly helpful in terms of facility down the low register and interval relationships and things like that. So worth checking it out. I'm actually toying with the idea of putting out a tuba kill book at some point down the road. So anyway, if you haven't checked out the book yet, take a second to go to the HipBone store at HipBoneMusic.com. There's a bone kill page and a trumpet kill page. There's a couple videos for each one, as well as some examples of the music itself. So it really gives you a good feel for the book, and I think you're going to like it. The response has been universally fantastic. So really, if you haven't checked it out, take a second and see if it might be something for you, because I think we're onto a good thing here. So. I'd like to finish up today just by playing a brief excerpt from the first etude in the book called Strap Hangers. That's from the Commute Suite. And I'm just going to play a little piece of it. It's kind of one of my favorite etudes, so I like to play that one quite a bit. So we're going to wrap up with that. Thanks for checking this out today. Continued success at school for everybody, and we'll look forward to checking in with you down the road. Be well.